Have you ever gotten so far away from the person that you know you are that you have to do something dramatic to unearth that person again? Well, introducing my 12 trips in 12 months challenge to myself. I've been traveling since I was a young person. I've been to 38 countries, so I'm not new to travel. But life has been lifing over the last several years, and I have slowed my travels down. But after 2 years of therapy, of self exploration, of just sitting with myself, trying to figure out what I want to do next with my life, I decided that I want to get back into my oldest and deepest passion, travel. These 12 trips will be gifts to myself because I deserve it. So let's talk about it. Hey friends, if you're new to my channel, I'm Latoya and welcome. On my little corner of the internet, I talk about travel, locks, and living your truest life. So if any of that interests you, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I took my first real solo trip to Cuba when I was 21. I road tripped across the whole island with a bunch of strangers. We stayed in hotels, in resorts, in Cuban families' homes. It was incredible. At the time, it felt like the riskiest thing I had ever done in my life. But by day 2 of the trip, I knew that I wanted those feelings and sensations for the rest of my life. Like I wanted to go somewhere new and to smell things I had never smelled before, to hear dialects and languages that I was really unfamiliar with, to taste food I had never even heard of in my life. Like I was in my zone, and I remember having this moment where I was like, I want to really do this for the rest of my life, and I need to figure out how to set my life up so that I can have these experiences forever. And somehow, it's crazy looking back, I've managed to keep that promise to myself in many ways. I chose a career where I know most people were working remotely and where I could make a good living. And I've been working in that field for over 10 years now. I work in e-learning, and that choice has allowed me to travel around the world and to experience the most incredible things while still making a living. When I think back, I am living my dream from 21-year-old Latoya, and that really warms my heart. It's the first of the year, so I'm also reflecting a lot on everything that I have done and promised myself over the year. But that is a promise that I've actually kept to myself, and I'm super proud of that. But if there's one thing we know for sure about life, it's that it's going to challenge you. It's going to put people in your life who are going to test the things that you say are important. It's going to throw obstacles in your way to see how much do you really want something. And it's up to us to decide what's important as we move through the different phases of our lives. So 17 years after that trip to Cuba, I'm 38 now, adulting has fully kicked in for your girl. Like, for real. I'm a mom now. I am in my sandwich generation era, meaning that I am taking care of 2 elderly parents. I live in the most expensive city in Canada, and it feels like my responsibilities are nonstop at this moment. And I don't ever think I will ever be at the freedom level of, 21-year-old Latoya in Cuba, and that's okay. I became a mom 7 years ago, and my daughter is my biggest blessing. She is the smartest, most inquisitive and mild-mannered kid that anyone could ever ask for. I absolutely love being her mom. It's made me a better person, and I wouldn't trade this experience or her for anything. I did partner with the wrong person though, and that choice has caused me a lot of turmoil over the last few years. I talk about it in my healing video. Last year, I had to take the legal route to untangle myself from that situation. And while it was one of the hardest things I've done emotionally, just having to go back through all of the memories and the experiences with that person, it also was the best thing that I could have done for myself. And because I did that very hard thing, I have a new sense of freedom and I couldn't be happier. While I've slowed my travels down since having my daughter, I definitely have not stopped. I have taken her around the world with me. I took her on her first trip when she was 6 months old and dipped her into the ocean. And I tried to really take advantage of the time before she started school to get as much travel in as we could, because I knew that I wanted her to start in traditional school, even though that might change later on. For now, it's traditional school. So I thought, let's get as much travel in before she turns 4, which is the age when they start school here in Ontario. Now that she's in grade 1 and she's found her rhythm at school and with her friend group, I've also found my rhythm as the world traveler mom who makes lunches, arrange play dates, but who also occasionally drops her child off to school and then goes straight to the airport to head to a beach somewhere in Mexico or wherever I'm going, while my daughter's away with her other parent. So it's been cool to kind of find that balance between being a mom and giving my daughter everything that she deserves, and also carving out time for me. Last year brought me so many answers, and I have this newfound peace that I feel like I've been searching for and working towards, maybe that's a better way to put it, for years now. I feel like I've exited survival mode, where I was living in that mode for years, just getting through and getting by and showing up, but it taking everything from me sometimes to do that because I just wasn't feeling the best. And thinking about myself separate from my roles as mom, as daughter, as colleague, as whatever, I know it's time to do something for me. And the thing that I want to do the most is, no surprise to anyone that knows me or has been following me online for years, I want to get back out into the world and be the curious, culture-loving, risk-taking human that I am. On my socials, I talk a lot about doing what you truly want to do with your one and only life. And in 2025, I am unapologetically focusing on my oldest and deepest passion, travel. And obviously, I'm not doing it small. Okay, so you might be wondering, what do these 12 trips in 12 months look like? Well, I have plotted out all of my months and the destinations that I want to go to, but they are all subject to change, really, especially the ones that are later on in the year. The one thing that I do have to be is flexible because of all these different hats that I wear, and I don't mind being flexible. I decided to focus on my trips and kind of finalize my schedule quarter by quarter so that I do not get overwhelmed. The length of my trip will vary. Some will be just a weekend trip, there'll be week-long trips and 2-week trips. About half of my trips I'm anticipating will be solo trips, and the other half will be with my daughter, and some special appearances from other people, such as like my sister and my mom. I'm hoping that they can join us when we go to Cuba next month. And I may visit with one of my best friends later on in the year as well. So there might be some special appearances, but it's looking like it's gonna be half solo and half with family friends. I'm excited, but I also feel a little bit stressed. And I know a lot of that stress is coming from fear of the unknown. You know, the fear of, hey, what if I'm on the other side of the world and something happens to my parents? You know, my dad's about to be 93 in a week, my mom is in her 70s. Or what if I'm on the other side of the world and my daughter gets sick? You know, what if there's a flight delay and I'm supposed to be back in mommy mode? You know, those kind of things I definitely think are, the storylines are playing in my mind, which I expected. And if they weren't there, then something would be wrong. So I'm a planner and I'm dealing with those fears in the way that I know best, which is to plan for worst case scenarios. So, you know, in terms of like flight delays that would keep me away from getting back to my daughter when I need to be there, I'm making sure that I'm leaving buffer time in between my arrival back to Toronto, you know, to when I need to be back into mommy mode. I'm leaving buffer time in between so that if anything does happen, that I have time to recover, to get a new flight, that kind of thing. Plus, I have looped my family into this plan of mine, so I also have some backup there in worst case scenarios. In terms of my parents, I have contingency plans in place. I deserve joy and I am claiming it unapologetically in 2025. Of course, I'm going to be documenting all of my trips and my experiences on this channel, so subscribe if you haven't already done so. And thank you so much for watching. If you have any suggestions, comments, questions, drop them below. Thanks so much again for watching, and don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one. Peace.